Before I begin, if you want to know what colours I've used, you can screenshot this screen. Hey everyone, it's Spanch. This week I am painting a Adepta Sororitas Retributor squad Sister Superior. My final army is going to have 3 of these squads and I've got 2 boxes to be working on. So this week I'll be painting the Sister Superior, and next week I will show you how I've painted the first 4 sisters, the actual battle sisters themselves. I'm starting off by showing you guys how I did the bases for pretty much all of my battle sisters at this point. I just used some of that Citadel texture paint and then I dry brush it grey when it's all done. And you can see a finished one on the screen as well. That one is the one that I'm actually going to use for this model, but I did kind of steal it off another model, so I made another one just to replace it. And I did the same for the cherub that I am painting in this video as well. The cherub's not actually from the Retributor squad, it's from the normal Battle Sister box set. He's to go with my Dominion squad, but I thought might as well get a start on that. So in terms of the painting, I kind of started out with Wraithbone. I think that's the colour that I used for the cherub skin, and then also for the start of the purity seals on the Sister Superior. I'll be honest, this is my first time filming with my new setup, so I do keep going off screen, and I think at some points you can see the very top of my head. I'll get used to it. I'm just not used to having my camera like top down. So if you can't see what I'm doing, you're not missing much. It's literally just me putting the base coats down. This video is sped up 300%, by the way. I do not paint this fast. I paint so slowly. I was in the Warhammer shop yesterday and I was trying to get like as many of my Battle Honours stamps done as possible. And one of the guys was like, hey, you haven't painted in store before, like paint this model real quick and then we can give you that stamp. And I was just stood there like painting so slowly. It was kind of embarrassing, but that's how I paint when I'm at home as well. I get so scared that I'm going to get paint on a bit that I don't want to, which I did end up doing. I got red paint on the white armor and it kind of made me want to die. So, yeah. In terms of the Battle Sisters skin, I mixed, I think it was Wraithbone or Bone White with a couple shades of brown to kind of darken it a little bit, so she has a more tan skin tone than just being like out the pot Wraithbone or anything like that. And here I am doing the red. This was the part where I was like, this is why I like doing them in pieces. I like keeping them apart, because trying to get paint like around her legs was not great. It sucked, but it was worth it in the end, because like then I don't have to piece everything together at the end and hope that the glue doesn't mess up any of the paintwork. So that was nice, I guess. I did all of the red bits first, and then I moved on to the black just so that I didn't waste any paint. I didn't want to leave any there for ages and have it dry out. So I think, if I remember correctly, I did the insides of the skirts and the sleeves, and then I did the plasma gun as well. Ooh, and I also did the casing on her chainsword. I did that red as well. Again, sorry for anything going off camera. I'm just not used to this kind of angle. I did keep trying to like stand up and see if I had stuff in view, but it's not easy when you're like sat at a desk and the phone is like above you. I like couldn't see the screen. I couldn't see where I was filming from, so yeah. In case anyone wonders about the colour scheme that I chose, my entire Adepta Sororitas army are all Order of the Sacred Rose, which means white armour, and then black and red vestments, which... don't think I'm ever going to choose an army with white armour ever again for any reason, but I made my bed, I will lie in it. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this in the paint list, but I primed everything with, I think it's White Scar, and then I did a really light base coat with just like, I think it's Dead White from Vallejo Game Color, just to make sure that everything is the same color, but that's what I used. It's nothing fancy. I didn't even use any shade paints or anything. I literally just base coated the armor, and I was like, we'll deal with that at the end. Because otherwise I will just be touching up like anywhere the paint gets, and I don't want to be like shading it and then touching it up and shading it and touching it up, because the amount of paint that would like build up would be awful to deal with. Also, yes, I do water down my paints. They are kind of off screen. You can't see my palette properly, but I do water them down. There are a couple of the Vallejo ones that I don't, because if you water them down, they start like, what's the term? I guess they pool weirdly, like they pull away. Even when there's like, primer down, like they act as if you're painting on like bare plastic, the way that they pull away. So those ones I don't tend to thin down because I don't think they need it. Like I've tested it, I don't think they need it, but 9 times out of 10 please just assume that I have watered my paints down. Like I've thinned them as much as I can to get like a smoother coat. You can kind of tell with the black paint, honestly. I needed 2 coats. I'd been using the model color black from Vallejo, and that went on really nice. You only needed like 1 coat. It was like perfectly matte. It was a beautiful paint. I've swapped to the game color because I ran out of the model color. I guess the formulas must be different for like the 2 different like types, I guess, because this one was like acting completely different. It kind of, when it was watered down a little bit, the only way I can really describe it is it kind of felt like a contrast paint at first, like it was, but like a weak one, you know? It was very weird. So I needed a couple coats of that, which kind of sucked. I think it's just that I added maybe too much water. Maybe it didn't need as much like straight out the dropper. Because when I used it a bit later, maybe when some of the water had evaporated, it was a lot better, but like, it was awful. I was like, I don't like that. I have also just realized I forgot to paint her gun holster brown, so I will have to do that after I finish recording this. I'm gonna have to run down to the kitchen and paint that. Oops. I kept reminding myself as well, every time I looked at it, I was like, that's not painted yet, you need to do that at the end. But I guess I forgot. I will say as well, this model doesn't have any belts. I specifically brought out the brown paint because I thought there was going to be belts and stuff. There's not. She doesn't have anything around her waist apart from, I think, do they call them like rosariuses or whatever? Basically like a rosary. She has one of those, but she doesn't have like a leather belt or anything, which is kind of weird because I'm used to them normally having them. Like I've got a couple of models next to me, and most of those have something around their waist that's like leather. So yeah. Oh, also because I finally have a ton of like parts from like bits boxes and stuff, what I'm going to do for my other two Retributor Superiors is I'm going to make sure they all have different weapons, they all look different, they all have different faces. I can't do much about the fact that they're all in the exact same pose, but for one of them I'm going to use the book hand that comes with the Retributor squad, and then I have on them it would be their right arm that's holding a bolter. It's not from that set, but I think I can make it work so she's like holding it up, because like the shoulder pad on that side is raised, so whatever she's doing with that arm she has to be holding it up. And then the third one, I think I will probably just go for the I think they have a mace that they come with, so I'll probably give them that one, and maybe I'll give them a bolter like this one has in the other arm. But it's just because I don't want them all to look the same. I'm kind of trying to do the same with the Battle Sisters, so I'm going to have one of each body type holding each of the 3 weapon options. So that's what I'm going through. I'm doing them like each weapon at a time. And that way I can mix and match as well in like my unit. But yeah. I will say, in like all of the lore that you read and stuff, for the Order of the Sacred Rose, they're like, oh, the Retributor squads, they like have really serene expressions. And I'm like, how do I do that with the heads that you get with these kits? Because they're all yelling. And I don't want to shy away from painting faces anymore. I want to use them, and honestly, I don't think the Battle Sisters head sculpts are as bad as people say. Some of them are actually really cute. I like quite a lot of them. They're just not, they're very grumpy. They're very angry. Which makes perfect sense. But it also sucks when you're trying to go for something like this. So the head I picked for the Retributor Superior, she is quite grumpy. I think it is from the Seraphim box, if I'm not mistaken. Because what I have started doing is I literally just have a collection of Battle Sister heads from like the Combat Patrol and a load of the boxes I've done in the past. Because like I said, at first I kind of shied away from doing faces. At the start I didn't really like the faces, mostly because the ones that come in the Combat Patrol are probably, in my opinion, the worst. I didn't like the ones where they kind of had like an undercut and like a bowl cut on top. I didn't like it. So I would only ever give my characters helmets. So I have a ton of spare faces. I actually did that with Celestine. I like swapped her actual head out for a helmet, which I actually like. I didn't do that with the Gemini though. They still have their heads, but I just didn't like how Celestine's face was coming out, so I just swapped it. But I'm trying to avoid doing that where possible. Like, if anything, I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to be like, oh, there's a helmet option, but I'll use like an actual face instead. I will be honest, I think this is probably one of the best things I've painted in a while. There's not a huge amount of detail. I haven't done anything special. I haven't even highlighted a lot of it. I mostly just did shading. But it looks really nice. I like how it looks. It looks quite clean. And it was, I don't want to say it was quick because the footage for this started off at an hour and a half. which when you have as little free time as I do is a lot of time to spend on one thing. But I'm pretty satisfied with it. It turned out okay. Oh, I told a lie earlier. I also use Retributor armor straight out of the pot because mine is really thin anyway, and if you thin it down anymore, it tends to just pull up. So I'm not in the mood to fight with my paint. I don't have the patience for that. I will say there is something so therapeutic about just sitting down, putting something on in the background. I think I was watching a stream, and just painting for like an hour and a half straight, just like not doing anything else. Like it was so, I don't want to say mindless, but like I guess it was. Like I wasn't really thinking about anything. I was just sort of getting on with it. I was just in the zone, and it was just so calming, which is nice. I think that's gonna help in like the next few weeks because I'm back at work. I had a week off, and then I'm back at work tomorrow for another month, back to the grind. But at least this way, maybe in the mornings and on the weekends, I can get some painting in, just kind of block everything out, I guess. Also, this is making me realize I really need to clean my palette. It looks disgusting. I need some kind of like scrapey thing so I can like get rid of all of the leftover paint. When I was, this is to do with paint palettes. When I was in school, I did GCSE art, and for our paint, for like painting with acrylics, we each got like one of those like trays that you used to use in like primary school to like put all of your like books and stuff in. We each got one of them with a lid to like keep our paint in, and when it got too like chunky and when there was too much, we used to just like sit and peel all of it off, and like at the end of the year we had to do that so that it was like fresh for like the next lot of like GCSE kids. But like I wish I could do that with this palette, but the paint's not thick enough in place. Like in some places it is. Sometimes I do just peel it off, but like usually it's not thick enough, and that kind of sucks because it would be so satisfying to do. Oh, and here I moved on to the cherub. The cherub was like really quick. It was like skin was already painted. I vaguely dusted the wings in grey, painted stuff silver and sort of like, Vallejo calls it gunmetal. I would say it's sparkly black paint. it looks like it has crack glitter in it. So I used that for some of the metal as well, and then I glued him to his base. He did not want to stick, it was awful. And yeah, this is the finished product. I'm really happy with how this turned out, honestly. I think this is probably one of my better models. On camera, can you see the shading? No, but that's fine. I'll cope. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. And next week's video will be up same time next Wednesday. Cheers.